What is up, everybody? Getting Excel here. Um, got some good stuff to talk about today. First off, I do want to apologize. I had my timer set, unfortunately, for 11 o'clock p.m., which it is not that. It is 11 o'clock a.m., at least where I'm at. So I apologize if you're tuning in later on thinking I was going to be live. That's on me. That's my fault. So we're live now, 11 a.m. my time. But we really got some interesting points I wanted to discuss about where the game's going, where the game's headed, in my opinion, and why this is a good thing. So we titled the episode "While You Were Sleeping, the Game Changed." Did you notice? So that quote that comes from early in the Krakoan era in the comics when the mutants were kind of banding together. They were going to go ahead and establish the nation of Krakoa. Professor X made a worldwide announcement, basically saying while he was sleeping, the world changed. And he went on to outline his grand plan, so to speak, for the mutant population and things of that nature. So I just thought it was appropriate, as we're in the age of X right now in Marvel Strike Force. Just thought it was appropriate. But I think it's true. I think it's very, very true. There has been a lot of changes in Marvel Strike Force over the past few months, and some of them might be subtle. Some of them might have flown under the radar, because we always have these hot button topics, these things that happen, and people freak out. The world's going to end, the game's failing and stuff like that, and so people miss out on what's actually happening with the game, right? You miss out on these things because everybody's screaming about nonsense hot button topics, and we miss out on what's actually going on, the meat and potatoes. And so we want to make sure we talk about some of that today, because I think it's hugely important. Now, a lot of this is speculation on my part, but I think it's happening. I think it's coming to fruition. One of the main points that we want to discuss has to do with the Old Man Logan event, because I think this really solidifies what it is that we're talking about. So what happened with the Old Man Logan event? In the most recent case, it was tough, right? Maximum difficulty of the Old Man Logan event was tough. It was difficult. And I think that's okay, right? I think that's okay. It promoted a lot of discussion in the community, right? A lot of discussion. People talking about, well, what did you do on this node? Who did you bring? What power, right? People saying, well, you have to have a sacrifice team here. Hey, make sure you hold on to these certain cooldowns. Nope, you got to make sure that guy does his ultimate first, so don't take your real team in, right? A lot of discussion. That was good. That's great. That's great. And again, on maximum difficulty, it made it hard. People kind of upset a little bit about that. But shouldn't it be that way? Shouldn't the maximum difficulty be difficult? I think so, right? I think so. And we might not have been used to that recently when it comes to Marvel Strike Force. We're kind of used to just getting everything right. The in-game events are pretty easy. You just play the game and you get the stuff. So if to have an event like this where you are rewarded, right? You're rewarded for actually playing the game. You're rewarded because you have a decent roster. You're rewarded because you talked to other people, because you got the strategy down, because you understand what your characters can do. You understand what the opposing characters can do. I think that's huge. That's huge. And it's something that the game needs, right? This is a strategy game. So we need that. We want that strategy aspect. It's good to see it. It's good to have it in the game. But again, some people I know are upset because the content was difficult at maximum difficulty. And that's the thing we want to keep in mind. There was 15 levels of difficulty. You didn't have to turn the dial all the way up. You didn't have to turn the dial all the way up, right? You can get rewarded for doing easier content. But if you wanted the maximum reward, right? The only way you could get that 7-star Old Man Logan is you had to do it on that maximum difficulty. And I think that that's good. That's perfect. That's what you want in the game, right? You want people to have to get up and go get it. That's huge. The first iteration was gated by stars, which I don't think necessarily even that is a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, right? They announced it late to try to get people to spend. well, I shouldn't say try to get people to spend. And then there's a leaderboard attached. So obviously the spenders are going to benefit the most. But then for the second time around, for you to be able to get that prize, man, you had to actually play the game. You have to have right network, talk to people, figure the puzzle out. Like I think that that's huge. It's so good for the game. I just want to share with you really quick my old man Logan. All right. So let's just take a peek here at my old man Logan. I don't know if you can see that. Here we go. We got it up. So this is on the website. So my old man Logan is 6 yellow, 4 red. So I did not finish. I did not finish, right? I'm saying this is an individual who did not finish on maximum difficulty. Reason being is because I kept trying, man. I was talking to some people. I figured out, hey, I was mistaken in my strategy, and what was I was gonna have to do was restart. And it was getting a little bit later in the week. I had some work, and so I just elected to dial it down and go with the difficulty 14 and just take the rewards that were there. No problem, right? It is what it is. I was having fun doing the content. I wasn't able to pass it. I got caught up in that, which is okay, right? Which is okay. So I'm saying this from the perspective of a person who did not do maximum difficulty, that it is okay. I thought it was perfectly structured. It was great. Now why? Why is this such a hot button issue from me, from my perspective? Why is this something that I really think we need to talk about? Because maybe we don't appreciate what has been happening in the game. So we talked about it a little bit before, but to clarify, so there's this we're going to call it the new player gap. Now, what we mean by that is different than what you might think. What's happening is because of the catch up mechanics in the game, a new person can come in 3 months. They're ready to they should have all the game modes unlocked. They should have all the game modes unlocked within 3 months. In 6 months, the catch up mechanics are bringing them forward, right? So in 6 months, you can have Super Scroll. That's great. I think that's good. That's super huge. That's important. You want new people to be able to come in and get right into the game, right? It used to be like a year before you could so-called catch up. But now, 3 to 6 months, especially if you're spending money, right? Especially if you're spending money. There's a Mephisto, if you haven't seen it, in my new player uh Arena Shard. So people can catch up with the quickness, especially if they're going to spend some money. They can catch up with the quickness. So now you have people, though, right? Here's the downside. You have people that are coming behind you quickly, and they can overtake you fast. They can overtake you fast, especially if you're going to spend some money. Okay. So old timey gaming. I don't know if you guys watch old timey. You should. He's a great content creator. He's very meticulous about Cosmic Crucible, right? He's in the Masters now. He stays in that like top 250 ish area, and right, if you watch his videos, he's pointing out like, hey, this dude, I'm going up against this guy. I faced him before. I faced that guy before. Well, I don't know who this guy is. And he'll look at the guy's TCP, and the person's TCP is half of his. So that means that person is a new whale or a new Kraken, right? That person is spending money and is now, up in the top 250 in a matter of months. You know what I'm saying? In a matter of months, which is okay. That's all right. But again, the issue is it brings people from behind you and they can just overtake you. In some ways, that's okay. But in some ways, that starts a problem for the mature player. Okay. So people who've been playing this whole time, now all of a sudden you got guys just passing you up. All right. That in itself isn't by itself, it's not an issue. But hopefully you see that for some people it is, right? It's like that old thing with the phone company. Guy comes in and gets a new phone. They get the best deal. You're like, hey, man, I've been here, bro. I've been here paying the bill. All you keep doing is raising my bill, right? Can I get something? I've been paying you for years, right? People start to feel that way. On top of that, what we have is the spender gap, okay? Hey, we got Jack. What's up, man? How's it going? No, I'd like to hear your perspective. Probably. We're just talking about how to put this. just the difference in the players, right? The different style of play, what's happened over the past couple years. So we started out by saying, uh, talking about the old man Logan trial. It was hard. I thought that was a good idea. Um, New players are able to come in now and catch up pretty quickly, especially if they're spending money. They can overtake a mature account fast if they're spending money. And so now when we get to the spenders, they needed some guardrails. This is not popular, what I'm getting ready to say, but the spenders needed some guardrails, right? If people can just come up and overtake you, if you're spending money, you still want some, right, some value to what you spent. So Captain Britain, right? Captain Britain. That's a hot button topic. It's a sore topic for a lot of people, but it put in place a guardrail. So Scopely was good. Like people got upset. I get it. But Scopely was good in the sense they gave us a team that was good. The Illuminati is a good team. They listened to the feedback, and the Illuminati now works everywhere, right? They gave us I think it was Hank Pym. They allowed one of his abilities to work everywhere. So now the team works everywhere. It's a good team. Iron Man is not trash. Iron Man extends all negative effects. There's a lot of characters that don't do that, right? It'll say extend for 2 turns, except trauma, except ability block, except stun. Iron Man don't say that. Iron Man just says extend all negative effects, and that's what he does, man. So he's not trash, as some would have us believe. The team is good, but Captain Britain is insane, right? He's super good. He's so good, in fact, that a lot of people are just breaking him out and using him as his own thing, right? So if you paid that money, it was like $300 price tag. If you paid that money, that put a guardrail in place. Now there's a gap, there's a separator between you and the non-spender. Similarly speaking, we don't always pay attention, but some of these diamonds, right? There's diamond rewards in some of the leaderboards, and those characters that get those diamonds in the leaderboards, you can't buy those, right? You can't buy those for promotion, I should say. So those are exclusive to the individuals that competed in the leaderboard for a set period of time. So it's intentionally putting these gaps, right? They're trying to make distance in between the free to play, the cheap to play, and the spenders. And they needed that because, like I said, guys can just catch up now. They can just pass you up with the quickness. You know what I'm saying? So we got Jack weighing in. Old man Logan trial was okay, except for the stargating. Took a lot of wind out of the sails of people trying to muscle through. No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I think, again, not popular, but I think it's necessary. I didn't like they announced it late on purpose to get people to spend. And I think that's where the dirtiness comes in. They announced it late to get people to spend. But I think you started to need to have some of these gaps or to force some of these gaps between certain people in the player base because the game's good. The game's good now. Appreciate you, brother. Hit the like. And if you haven't subscribed, I need some of those. I need some of those. I need some of those subscribes. No, I appreciate you, brother. I really do. But the spender gap. So something, right? Sometimes we're like, well, the spenders are getting so far ahead, but that's true to an extent, and they're supposed to, right? They're supposed to. If I'm spending $20 a month, and there's a guy spending 50 characters cost $50. So if a guy who buys all 3 characters in a month, that's $150. Shouldn't he kind of have an advantage over me? Right? It might not be insurmountable. If I get a 3-star character and he gets a 5, it's hard. It's a punch up, but it might not be insurmountable. But if a person who's spending $2,000, I mean, I don't know, close to that, right? So like if some guys, the character comes out and to get him to 7 stars, what I'm hearing is like $500. So 3 of those, 1,500. And if a dude isn't prepared and they have to buy other resources, it goes up. So should that person not have an advantage? Right? I probably shouldn't be able to just pass him for free. So they're putting some exclusivity out there for some of the characters. I think that's some of what we're seeing, and that's important. But the problem is to bring it all together, the guy in the middle. So the guy that plays regularly like us, you have people coming from behind, catching you that can just pass you up. And then you got guys who are already in front that are just leaving you in the dust. So then you get squeezed, right? The normal player, the middle player gets squeezed. And on top of that, here's another problem. Again, this is no fault to Scopely or the player base, but it's just something that's happening. You have people that aren't actually playing the game, right? What do we mean by that? You've probably heard certain individuals, right? They talk about how they have this, they're through Dark Dimension, free to play, through Dark Dimension, top 30 or whatever, free to play. I'm making up numbers, but very quickly. How can that be? Well, if you look at how they play the game, they're not actually playing the game, right? They're getting carried in raids by a stronger alliance, right? You've probably seen some of the videos, right? People got videos out right now. It's Orcus raid. Guys have been playing the game for years, and they have a gear tier 14 or gear tier 15 Bifrost. Like, how can that be? How can you be doing maximum level of incursion raid with a Bifrost team in orange gear? Maybe I'm wrong. Like, it's hard for me. I got gear tier 18 across the board on my main account. It's tough for me to do it. So how could that person be doing it with orange gear? I question that, right? Maybe they can, but they're being carried by a stronger alliance. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. That's not a wrong thing. But they're able to then just focus exclusively on building for Dark Dimension and building their arena team. And they're able to just bypass you, right? Because they get this super strong character. Now you can't touch them in arena. I'm not going to say it's a problem, because it's not. It's not a problem. It's just, I don't think that's how the game is meant to be played. What's up, bro? Good dude in a mad world. It is a mad world out there, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. We got the current state of character releases is getting atrocious. To coin the term of Boylan, they are Hank Pimming the free-to-play methods, which is extremely aggravating. So we got Hans. Hans is coming in. He's confirming orange gear can do Mystic. So we're talking incursion 2, difficulty 3, boss on the struggle. Okay. I'll take it back. I'll eat the words. Nothing wrong with Crow, as they say. You just got to get past the feathers, right? If we're not talking about Val, no, that makes sense. But no, I want to get to that, Jack, because I think some of this is intentional, but not for the reason that perhaps we think. Because you have these people, like, I think this is part of it. Like, you have people, they're not like playing the game. So they're able to get all these rewards and stuff like that. Kind of, I don't want to say the game, the system, but they're able to get all these rewards and things like that because they're being carried, and then they just push when it matters, which is okay. But if you're not spending your resources on half the teams, so we have like a leaderboard recently with like the energy. So normally a lot of spenders have acquired energy because they're not using it. They don't need to. They're not powering up their characters. So the same thing is true for these individuals. If they're not actually powering up their characters, then they're just stacking up energy. And so they can push on these leaderboard events, right? Because they didn't build that Alliance War team. They didn't build that Crucible team. So they're able to push, and they can score higher in these leaderboard events than you and I, who are actually playing the game. Now, again, I don't think that that's wrong necessarily. That's just strategy. That's just how they're strategizing. The problem is, again, they're able to overtake the regular player. They're able to overtake you and I, and we don't get any reward, right? There's a lot of people in the community that, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of people in the community that feel this way. They're like, man, we're not getting no love. Like, we've been here playing the game. New guys are just passing us up. Spenders are pulling away. There's people that are half playing the game and they seem to be getting rewarded for it. So I think that Scopely has over time been addressing some of these different things. They changed the new player experience. They're giving some extras to the spenders. And now I think they've turned their attention to the I don't want to say the average player, but the cats that play the game like you and me. If you're an engaged player, if you play the game, they're starting to put some checks and balances in place to make sure that we get ours as well, that we're starting to get taken care of. And so we're seeing things now that require a mature roster. And I think we're going to start seeing more of that. Not that it's not that it's required throughout, but if you wanted to get that 7-star old man Logan, you had to have a deep roster, right? Not that you couldn't, right? You could do a lower difficulty and still get rewarded. You could still unlock the character. You could still make progress. But if you wanted that maximum, this second go around, the first go around for spenders, second go around, it looked to me that you had to have a deep roster. And we've seen some of that with some of the towers, right? With Kiln Tower, with the last, not with the Pocket Dimension, that was pretty easy. But some of these towers, to really get up there in the bigger floors, there was a definite cutoff, right? Spenders kind of got up to here, but to get in here like that, you had to have that deep roster. And I think that is a good idea. I think that that's a good idea because people play the game. People play a game, they invest in the characters. There should be a reward for doing that, right? For people that spend time in the game, that learn the game, that learn about the characters, there should be a reward for doing that. And I think that's good. I think that's good. I mean, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, but I think that that's important. And it took a while to get to this point, but I'm glad it's happening, right? I'm glad it's happening. All right. We shouldn't all expect to just be able to blow through everything in the game, finish all the content, sim all the raids, right? That shouldn't be the expectation. Not on the highest difficulty, at least not right out of the gate, right? We got to earn that. We got to earn that. And people that actually spent time working on their roster that coordinate with their alliance, right? They're playing the game the way you're supposed to. If you're doing group content to get the maximum rewards, you got to have a good roster, communicate with your alliance. I think that's good. That's appropriate. I think we're starting to see that with the newest iteration with the Orcus raid. So anybody that's been Orcus raid, I think is pretty dope. We're trying to get through it on the baby account. It's hard, but that's okay. Like we can do some. We can do some. So a newish group of people, you can do some. You can get some rewards. So Scopely wants you to be able to participate in the content, and that's great, right? They even have a separate raid set up, a smaller one for if you don't have a full alliance, right? Maybe you've seen some of these alliances during or in the mid game in Alliance War. Alliance might only have 7 people. 2 of them are super strong. A couple of them are mid tier. Some of them are new. Right? I don't know if this is like a family. Is it a group of friends that are just playing together? So they're kind of casual, but not. So those individuals, they only have 7 people. They can still do content. They can still, as they grow, increase the difficulty and still get rewards, right? And for the rest of us that have more full alliances, maybe we have 17, 18 people, we can still do the main alliance. And as we go up in level, right, that's when the difference is going to be made. So we'll start seeing throughout the week as people are able to move through different difficulties of Orcus. We'll see what the end gap is for the spender level, for the engaged player. But like right now, everybody can jump in and participate and get rewarded, right? And I think that's awesome. That's perfect. And if you have if you didn't, if you put power in your characters, you can punch through at the lower levels with the Bifrost, the Pegasus. You'll be stopped somewhere. You need to get those new teams, and that's fine. I think that's great. Got another. So Jack says it's not communicating Super Scroll was required to get anything above the unlock was trash. Bro, I just like that's the thing. Like I disagree. I disagree. I don't know. I didn't get to play it on the I was spending so much time on the main account trying to finish that I didn't even do on the second account. So I might be speaking out of turn. So we're once you got to the where you had to have the teams, was it you're saying it was undoable? Like after I don't know what it would be like after difficulty 5 or 6? Are you saying that it was undoable at that point? That if you didn't have scroll? Because I'm not sure because I didn't try it. I didn't try it. Scroll. I mean, he's not as difficult to get, but he's out there. Good dude. As a returning player, I'm loving the changes. I'm doing events and getting characters I've always wanted. And I think like that part, I think that part is good. I think the way it's tuned right now, if you just show up, you get the characters for the most part, the regular characters. Occasionally there's some different ones, but I think for the most part, if people just show up and play the game, you get the characters. So how long were you gone for? Good dude. How long were you gone for? I know some people have taken breaks from time to time. How long were you gone for, and what? I don't know if you can share the reason why, and then like what brought you back. Same with Jack, man. I know Jack was gone for a while, and now Jack is back. Oh, what was the reasons? I think something what we're seeing again with this new raid is they're trying to take into consideration those different player bases. They're trying to open it up to everybody, but if you want to do the maximum difficulty, you got to have some power in your characters. I think we're going to see that more going forward, in my opinion. I have no idea. I haven't talked to nobody, but I think that that's going to be a trend for the game going forward. So Jack's responding about Super Scroll. Can't remember the difficulty offhand, but after a certain point, scroll was required or you would be stuck. I stalled out because I was smashing except for the Cosmos. Okay, I get it. Nope, I get that. I get it. No, I hear that. Throw that feedback in there. If you're not part of the player voice, right? This is a good time to talk about it. If you're not part of the player voice, that's good feedback to throw in to the player voice channels. I can throw it in on the Envoy side as well. But sometimes some of those things mean more, right? Some stuff means a little bit more coming on the Envoy side, but stuff that the player base is actually experiencing, in my opinion, I haven't been on an Envoy enough to know, but as far as a player voice, people that play the game differently, right? When enough of those people say, hey, I'm here in the mid game, I wasn't able to do this. Maybe this was the expectation, and we weren't able to do it, right? I know the end game content is here. We're here in the mid game, and we weren't able to get a hold of the mid game content, if that makes sense, right? Because again, I don't nothing against the envoys. I'm still new. I don't know, right, to it. But what I do know from the player voice is they understand that there's different types of people that play the game that are at different stages. And so they try to collect that feedback in those groupings and give that to Scopely, if that makes sense. Right. They'll say, hey, the spenders are mad because they spent this and they can't beat whatever, you know. Is that intentional to have maxed out characters and you still can't beat it? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not. Or like we're saying, hey, I'm a mid-game player. Everybody that I know that's in this alliance has such and such and such, and we weren't able to get through. So please pass that off to the player voice. Now, I think we were talking about hanking earlier. We were talking about hanking, hank pim, whatever. You're not getting them. And again, I think to a degree, some of that is intentional. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Gladiator. So I did unlock Gladiator on the main account. As 100, this is my general rule when playing a game like this. If it's 100 shard unlock, which in the case I think all the annihilators are, then when I get over 5,000 cores, I buy an orb. That's just how I do it, right? To just kind of lower that threshold for how many shards I need to get. And so I finally just, right, because of that, his orb is gone now for coring, so I can't core it. But just from playing the game and opening the stuff, finally I got Gladiator. His event, like I don't know what the unlock method is. I don't know if those milestones are the unlock. I'm not sure, right? Because his event is like a month long or something like that. So I don't know if that's the intent, but I will say that this might be part of what they're trying to do, right? I'm not telling like FOMO, that's not the thing. I don't encourage that at all. But I think this is part of that same situation that we're talking about. So people that spent, or maybe they spent cores, they get this character. The other annihilators look like they're coming out relatively easy. They get Gladiator though, and he changes the arena like immediately. Arena is a player versus player, right? So it's PvP. That means there's money on the table. That's how games make money. Player versus player. So yes, I think that they're intentionally holding him back, allowing that exclusivity. So they're allowing the spenders in this case first get the character, they're moving up in the arena and locking up spots, right? That's just how it is. Um, I don't know when the true free to play unlock will come, but some people who again spent cores or whatever, they get him or they got a lucky roll, they get him, they're gonna start moving up. And when the rest of the annihilators come out, right, without him, right, without Gladiator, you got Thanos, which is awesome. Thanos is an awesome character. We'll see when he comes to the game. People seem to be underwhelmed with Gore, even though they spent. I don't know. I don't have him. But it seems like Gladiator's that key piece that if you have him, that's when the changes are made. And we've seen this a lot, right? There's a key character that comes out early for money that kind of unlocks the team, but the free to play don't get him until the end, which again, it just ensures that exclusivity. It makes that gap. They want you to have the characters, right? That's the thing about Marvel Strike Force. They want you to have the characters. They're giving you the candy for free. They just want you to, pay for the power, right? They want you to pay for the power. Jack's weighing in. The auras for the Annihilators were trash, super trash, and they're delaying the free to play event simply to induce FOMO. There might be some truth to that, but I think it's that gapping is what's happening. I think it's because Gladiators that I believe that at least that Gladiator's that key piece. And so he comes out for money first. We don't get him until the end for free. So we're at a disadvantage that whole time. Right. So yeah, I guess if you want to play versus player, if you want to catch up, you're gonna spend that loot. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But some people, I mean, how's you guys arena shard? What's your arena shard like? Right. I keep hearing these stories about guys that are just like barely doing anything and they're in it. There shouldn't be hard. It's not tough to get top 10 in arena. Like I keep hearing about these arena shards, man. Like I don't know nothing about that. I don't know anything about that, man. My arena shard has always been tough, even on my new account. It's tough. YouTube was delayed and I was gone for almost 2 years. No, yeah, it happens, bro. Right? I'm talking and it comes down the pipe. It's all good. My connection might not be great either. 2 years. Okay. So, like, what took you away from the game and what brought you back? That's an interesting question. I like understanding that. I like understanding that. But also, I think that's what's happening with Gladiator. He'll come out at some point, but since he's that key piece, we won't get him for free to the end. Yeah. And so if you want to make up the difference in player versus player, put the money on the board. But some of that's necessary. Some of that's necessary. You got to give the spenders some type of advantage. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what we were talking about. I think that we're in that an era now. The new player experience is near perfect. People can just jump in, play the game. They're putting some intentional breaks in between the spenders and the free to play. So it makes it harder then to be able to use that momentum to just bypass uh, the spending community. And it seems like they're giving more attention to the seasoned player, the people that actually play the game. Uh, I don't want to say shenanigans, that's not the right word, but people who actually play the game, who actually invested in a roster, they're trying to give you something back for doing that and not skipping out on teams. Angelo, what's up, bro? We're trying, man. No, we're trying, bro. It's not like there's not like that's the thing. That's why we got to have these conversations. It's not like there's not problems in the game. There is, but like people just freak out right over the smallest things, and we don't see what's actually going on. That's just the internet right now, right? Right? How many times do you see any just not Marvel Strike Force, but any YouTube video, instant regret, right? Like it's all doom and gloom, and the world's coming to an end. Instant karma. She instantly regretted it. Like it's crazy because those that's what gets clicks. But the people aren't right explaining what's actually going on, right? Any of us who got some time in life, that's not what the world is actually like. There's definitely bad things going on. There's definitely bad in the world, but like you got to explain what's happening. You can't just freak out, right? That's not how you handle a situation. Jack said he's stable at 150 in his arena. Everyone ahead has big apocalypse. You got a baby apocalypse. Well, congrats on getting him, bro. Congrats on getting him. Super Scroll, things like that. Well, I don't have it pulled up. My main, I think the other day, since I got like that was the thing. Since I got Gladiator on the main, I was able to get up into like 80. We'll see how that goes throughout the week. And on the new account, I'm kind of in your same situation. I still haven't seen any of those I see a baby apocalypse from time to time, but I'm just getting outclassed by people who have stronger. It's like Extreme X-Men with Black Knight and Old Man Logan. So that's my sticking point on the baby account. I haven't really seen any Annihilators. There must be up higher. But in my 100 150 range, I'm just getting smoked by people that just have simply just stronger of what I have. So we got good dude weighing in. I got a job for the government. Ooh. So I had no time for it. 2 years later, my buddy tells me Rogue is in the game. So I hopped back and got to work. All right. Interesting. Good dude. I don't know if you read comics. I don't know if you read comics. The newest X-Men stuff with Rogue looks pretty decent. The brand, like the newest stuff, like after Krakoa, it looks pretty decent. Level 75 Extreme X-Men, almost in the top 250. Interesting. So, yeah. Is that mostly what's in the shard? Is X-Men at where you're at right now? Yeah, man, it was good. It was really good. I agree. I liked it. They kind of right. They pretty much probably told to wrap it up at the end, right? It ended pretty abruptly. Like, hey, I think Disney was like, "Hey, wrap this up, man. We got movies to make, so you got to wrap this up." But it was pretty good. Jack said his Old Man Logan is a baby. Also, that's a hindrance. Everyone has much larger Logan. I feel it, bro. I feel it. So that's that's the price I paid. Like I didn't play it. I didn't play the event. So mine's soft. Everybody's advanced in front of me. Maybe that'll change as the Annihilators show up. Because I think Gore stops. That's what we're hearing, right? Gore stops Logan, but that's at like the top end of the game. We'll see what effect that has. That's the cool thing about the game, man. Is everybody's playing from a different spot. You know what I mean? So everything isn't strictly true across the board, right? People that are at the end game are experiencing like, hey, so on my main alliance, for instance, I think we're like ranked in the top 60, which is kind of weird for war, for like alliance war, which I don't think we're doing anything nuts. We're just kind of aggressive at it. And then we played against Nemesis Gaming. I don't know if you guys know who Nemesis is. We played against his alliance and they destroyed us. Like they're just a different, like it's just like a different level of people. Like all the defenses were really weird. And then we played against they're called the Pimps, P-Y-M-P, like Hank Pym. The Pimps. Played against them. They were top 25 alliance, and it was the same thing. It was like impossible. So just where people are at, right? Just where people are at in the game. Things look different. Defenses look different. And I think that that's cool. Like that's awesome. That's part of what makes the game good, I think. It's hard to see it if you're not there, but it's hard to see it. So that kind of just brings us to this point here, the future of the game. So if you got comments on that, I definitely want to know. I definitely want to know. I think the future of the game is looking good. The graphics update, we've talked about that before, but I think that's a huge indicator of the commitment to making the game good. Because in the past, we were always told that they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that because of whatever was going on with the old coding or whatnot. And to change that, like to think about that, man, to change that they're changing the engine of the game. That's not just cause, right? That costs some cash money, bro. So they put some cash money on the table to really change the foundation of the game. I think that's showing that they're trying to build on it, man. That they really want to build on this. They took a lot of time changing, as we said, the new player experience, trying to come up with different ways to help the different groups of people. I think they really want to make the game good. What's up, bro? We're trying. We're trying. The arms ain't that good, man. We're working on it. So you got to tell me how to pronounce the name. Nevo? We're trying, bro. Got a little at a time. Good dudes weighing in about the arena shards. Said it's all over the place. Oh, no, your character shards. You go after my favorites first. That's okay. Spider Society's built up. Next is symbiotes like Gwenum. Solid. I like it. I like it. And that's part of again how you can play the game. You can just have fun. Bayo, what's up, bro? So he's the newest cat in the alliance. What's going on, man? We're glad to have you. We're glad to have you, bro. Yeah, so we got anybody out there. We got one more spot. You just kind of have to have some raid teams. We can go on this Orcus, but I think we got one more spot open, right? You got to have a couple raid teams because we're in the Orcus. What is up, my guy? Thanks for joining, man. Solid. No. So, hey, that's pretty much what we got for discussion. We'll probably go ahead and shut it down here. Definitely appreciate you guys, man. Definitely appreciate you guys. Guardians, a lot of Guardians. Cats from the Alliance coming out. Appreciate y'all, man. Jack, appreciate you, dude. Known Jack from way back, man. He was in the old Alliance with the old baby account. He's back in. Jack, thank you, man, for being you. You're a good cat. 100%. Yeah, brother. No, peace out. You guys make sure you take care of yourself and your family. Hopefully the weather's good where you're at. I'm cutting grass after this. But you guys take care of yourselves and your family, man. Thanks for showing up on the stream. Appreciate y'all. Peace out.